The Everyman Radio Podcast.
It's a brand new sound for radio.
New music.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello, Peggy, and welcome to Everyman Radio.
Thank you, Rich. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Are you welcome? Yeah. I was just admiring your background, and you said that's very near you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is our famous Naples Pier. In English terms, it's very young, but it's our historic pier. And it's in Naples, Florida on the Gulf of Mexico. And I live about 3 miles from that location.
Okay. Naples, Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, America are the world's biggest thieves. And they just go around the world stealing everything and names like Naples, Napoli.
True. In fact, there are many times I've put in my destination of where I want to go, and then put in that I'm coming from Naples, and it tells me I'm 5,000 miles away. And I realize, whoops, wrong Naples. Or depending where you are.
Yeah, I have been to Naples, the real Naples in Italy,
Yes.
many years ago. 30 let's say 30 years. So I forget because, yeah, when I ever think far back in time, I just forget. But I had a fantastic trip because it was the only time I have gone away on my own. Well, at that time. So I was very excited because I got a very low-cost flight and I flew to Naples, but because it was a low-cost flight, I didn't go to Naples. I went to one of those, just a small airport that had I can't remember the name of it, but I did a hiking trip, really, walking around, catching the train and meeting new peoples in Naples and Mount Vesuvius, where they have well, they used to have a volcano.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm just reminiscing.
Yeah, the days when we could travel.
Pardon?
I'm saying that was the good old days when we could travel.
Oh, yes.
Right, without fear of coronavirus.
Well, we have nothing to fear except fear itself, I believe. Well, it's an old saying, really. And from everything I've read, is this coronavirus, it's the common cold, but it's been used by the powers that be to really scare the bejeebus out of everybody, so they can carry on with their nefarious plans, really, I guess.
Well, there's certainly a lot of conspiracy theories, but I'm actually from New York City, and both of my brothers are, well, one's a scientist, one's a doctor, and he's actually working on coronavirus. And it is not the cold, it is not the flu, it is 10 times more contagious. And they really don't know enough about it yet because they do not know how it actually interacts in people's bodies. Why one person who's perfectly healthy gets it,
Okay.
and another person who's perfectly healthy gets it and is asymptomatic. So there is a lot to it that we don't know, but I think people get a comfort level by believing conspiracy theories. Not that that's you, but I'm just saying, I don't think we know enough to call what it is, and I do think it's something to be cautious about, not fear, and I teach people how to,
Okay.
but how to really pay attention, be mindful, be cautious, take precautions. There are things that we can certainly do to mitigate the potential of getting it. And again, even healthy people who've gotten it have been extremely sick. In fact, my brother was just telling me about a 31-year-old woman who literally was in a coma for 2 weeks and had no pre-existing conditions or anything. So we just don't know. So I would rather err on the side of caution and just do what I can to mitigate it.
That's good.
That makes sense.
It sounds very sensible. I can't help, I get more revolutionary.
No, and I understand that,
and fight the power.
And that is my background too, I'll be honest. But clearly, there are people taking huge advantage of this and spinning it in ways that they're benefiting. And I get that too. But I think at the end of the day, we kind of have to tune into our own consciousness, our own sense of well-being, boost our own immune systems, and do what we can in our own communities to help people just live better and to be stronger and to be able to navigate through this. Because it certainly has turned our world upside down. So we have to pay attention to that. You can't just be in a closet, and ignore the fact that things have changed.
Yes. Yeah, very true. And yeah, so coming back, well, I say coming back, we haven't even got there, but please tell us then, Peggy, about yourself and what is it that you do and promote?
So I'm a personal development coach. I'm an author and entrepreneur, and I really have trained in just about every area of expertise from both Western and Eastern traditions. So I'm certified in everything from functional medicine and functional nutrition to Eastern traditions, trained by world-renowned yogis, trained in Qigong, just so many different things that I bring together. So that said, I'm able to work with people from all walks of life with all different belief systems and find a way to help them tap into their abilities to be the best they can be, whether it's about health, whether it's emotional, whether it's about relationships or work, whether it's about life purpose. Any of those areas really come from within you, and many people function outside of themselves and are just the reactions to external circumstances rather than really creating their world, which is what we have the ability to do, and that's what I help teach people how to do for themselves.
Wow, that sounds good. You just reminded me, so we had a guest, Joe Gamble, who was a certified functional health practitioner.
Right.
And yeah, she was excellent. And yeah, so that's on a previous podcast. And yeah, it's quite unique. So I don't expect to hear it again. Well, not many people knowing about it. So
I think especially with dealing with this pandemic, we are beginning to recognize more and more that the old way of practicing medicine is a bit archaic, and it's what we've known up until now. But science is showing us a greater connection of mind-body and greater connections in terms of brain plasticity and greater understandings of epigenetics. And so the old science of just fixing your arm because your arm hurts no longer is the way it works. We really are a whole body. The arm is connected to the rest of our bodies and our brains, and we need to work with all that we have. And when we do, we actually become so much more expansive than we ever imagined possible.
yeah, well, and I know a very common problem, especially this moment in time. And it's, to be honest, it's something I'm not that clear about. Anxiety and stress that people suffer, which seems to be coming on thick and fast. And I think, well, I suppose I don't, yeah, I'm just ranting. I think anxiety, well, if your brain is telling you, is giving you signals, okay, you need to be alert, you need to wake up to something. I think it can be very healthy. Your body telling you, watch out for this. But I think, and I don't really know, for some people, does it go severe, or I don't know what, I don't really know what happens to people and how you can help.
That's actually my specialty, is stress and anxiety. So stress is our biological instinct of being able to discern whether we're in danger. So if we discern or perceive that we're in danger, we have this fight or flight mechanism that goes into effect and releases all these stress hormones that pumps adrenaline and cortisol, speeding up our heart rate and really allowing us to have greater strength and be able to run faster so we can escape whatever the danger is. And some stress can be really good for us, you know, the stress of having a baby, the stress of getting married, the stress of being on John's podcast, you know, these are all sort of positive things that contribute to the world, right? But the challenge is that our stress response, that fight or flight biological response that was built in for our survival, was meant for short bursts, after which we're supposed to recover. In today's world, dealing with this pandemic and all of the moment-to-moment challenges that keep occurring, we are staying at heightened stress levels. So when that happens, guess what? Non-essential functions in our body are actually suppressed because we're in that fight or flight. We've got to run away. And when those non-essential functions are suppressed, we tend to be more vulnerable to getting sick because it really inhibits our immune system from functioning properly. It inhibits our digestion. So now the body's not functioning so well, and we can't respond to the things that we might need to respond to. So we need a break from stress. That's the key.
Wow. And
anxiety, on the other hand, is more internally derived, that might be triggered by external circumstances. So someone who, was bitten by a dog as a child, anytime they walk past a dog, they kind of have anxiety about that dog biting them. And so if a dog never walked by them, they might not have that reaction at all. But anxiety tends to be stimulated from past experiences, and it's an accumulation of experiences that then get triggered by something in the present. And a lot of times the anxiety responses are totally inappropriate, because what's happening now isn't really what happened way back when you started developing that post-traumatic stress disorder, or however the anxiety manifested. So it's an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, and so how can we help, or how do you help people that are suffering from anxiety, or say they are suffering from anxiety, or are told they are suffering from anxiety? I don't know, how can you help? How can we help?
So there are so many different ways of helping. Again, depending what someone's comfort level is and what they're willing to do or try. But in essence, anxiety actually becomes a default mechanism. So when anything happens, you kind of default back into that anxiety, the panic attack. You don't know why you feel like you're having a heart attack, but all of a sudden it's happening. And it may be from your own thoughts. It may be just an emotional response. In fact, I worked with a woman who literally every other week she was in urgent care thinking she was having a heart attack. And she was in a new position in a new city, dealing with employees who she felt were being quite insubordinate. And she felt really out of her element and had lost a comfort level in her own ability to lead and to manage. And it resulted in these panic attacks that she'd just be walking down the street and suddenly she'd feel like, oh my gosh, I'm having a heart attack. But it was an accumulation of all of these thoughts and fears that she was processing because of her current work situation. So anxiety can come out in a lot of different ways. And the biggest solution to it is being aware of it, so that you can begin to take steps to change that pattern. And so you can change the pattern by, once you're aware, oh my gosh, I'm having a panic attack, I'm going to just take some slow, deep breaths. And by slowing down your breathing, or just even taking a big sigh, just that actually signals your nervous system to calm down. And that can help begin what I call interrupters, where you interrupt that pattern of anxiety. And it also works for stress, where you just interrupt those constant habits that you've gotten into. I have one client who I work with, she's actually suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder since childhood. And she's been doing so well, but then every once in a while, she actually looks for the panic, looks for the anxiety, because she's so used to having it. She's a little bit fearful, well, what's going to take its place? I know that. I know how to do anxiety. I don't know how to do happy. I'm not sure I'll be comfortable happy. Do you see what I mean? It's a really interesting phenomenon. So it's really teaching people and cultivating ways of practicing that change of mindset and interrupting, so the brain can develop new neural pathways and function in a different way that's more beneficial for mind, body, heart, and spirit, and to function, perform better, be happier, be able to be more present in relationships or in work situations. So it really changes your whole outlook and your whole ability to interact with reality in a way that's much more fulfilling. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. And something you said there about people almost needing, some people needing that stress level or certain situations. And it just reminded me of the kind of adrenaline junkies and people doing really risky pursuits that okay, might be okay once or twice, but they almost get addicted to doing really dangerous things. I don't know.
It's a feel good. You know, when you have that release, it releases all these kind of feel good hormones, like marathon runners, you know, get that release of adrenaline that actually is a feel good. The problem with it is it's only temporary. And what I've learned, because I went through a lot of challenges, you know, working and thriving in New York City was just full of twists and turns. And so I went through lots of ups and downs. And so I found that I'd have these almost manic experiences where I'd feel really great on top of the world. I'd feel creative. I felt I could do so much. And then all of a sudden I'd crash and burn. And I'd get sick, or actually crash and burn literally, because I used to ride a motorcycle around New York City, which I know is crazy, but I avoided the subways by just riding motorcycles. But so I would actually have an accident, or I would get sick. And so I felt like, oh, well, I'm just stuck with that cycle. That's just me. That's my nature. There's nothing I can do about it. And then I started training in especially the Eastern practices. And I started realizing that on the way up and on the way down, there's kind of a neutral point. And I began to realize that I could expand that neutral point as I was coming through, and I could stay there longer and longer. And the more I could stay there, the more I could actually have the productivity of those highs and the creativity and feel really good and have, you know, mind and body functioning at its highest level if I could just stay there. Now, you can't always stay there. There's always ups and downs, but I was minimizing those extremes, and I wasn't going through these crashes. And that's really what got me into this work, because it was so magical to me that, wow, you can just be here and do all this stuff and feel great. I'm in it. Sign me up. So I started training, and now I share that with others.
Wow. Yeah, so I was going to ask, so you were working in journalism, and then, if I'm right, for some reason, you had an epiphany, or you've become a health and wellness expert. Is that what happened? Or?
Well, again, I think out of adversity, it really propels us to find things for ourselves, find solutions for things that we're dealing with. So I went through a lot of very unidentified illnesses. I had a heart murmur that was a diastolic heart murmur. That is something that usually doesn't come and go, and mine came and went. So, and this was in my 20s. So I just began looking at health and well-being and trying to figure out, well, what can I do to feel better and to not go through these horrible experiences, because one after the other was pretty traumatic and certainly uncomfortable and, you know, hard. I thought, geez, I'm only 23, I'm going to die, you know, I was too young. So I just started seeking, and I have never stopped. And I have probably 15 different certifications, and I'm still going for more, just because I really enjoy learning all these different traditions. And what I found is that they all work, every single one. But different people will relate to different modalities and will take them on and practice them in ways that will work for them better. So I just keep learning.
Yeah, wow. And I believe one of the practices, or you recommend, or you suggest, is quite popular in the business world as well at times, mindfulness, which I think, I don't know, it can get overused, or I don't know. But I just remember, I lived in Vietnam for a few years, and I remember there was a book I read when I was there. It was in English, but it was about mindfulness, and I just remember the book. And a chapter on it. It was washing the dishes to wash the dishes, or something like that, where I think it was just teaching the power really in attention, increasing your attention by really focusing on washing the dishes. So you're not just washing the dishes, you're washing the dishes. I think something like that, but it stuck with me.
Yeah, no, you've got it. And so the idea of mindfulness is paying attention on purpose. And so it's more than even just washing the dishes. It's noticing, how does the water feel on your hands? Is it hot? Is it cool? What are you noticing in the moment? And that's the key. It's really teaching you how to be in the moment. When you're in the moment, you are whole and you are really functioning very, very well. But if you're washing the dishes and thinking about, oh my gosh, I got to get the kids lunch made, they're doing homeschooling now, I forgot to tell the teacher about a problem somebody was having, and if you're like a million miles away, you're never in the moment. You're either in the past or you're in the future, and that creates stress. When you're in the moment right now, you and I, everything's fine. We're okay in this moment. Now, in the next moment, I might trip over a chair and break my ankle, but right in this moment, I'm fine. And what I find is that too many people worry about that next moment. Oh my gosh, if I don't do this, that'll happen. And they play out these scenarios that aren't happening in the moment. They're not here now. And yes, you have to take care of this moment in order to, have a future that you want to create. Still, it's not living for that future. It's putting one step in front of the other, putting one moment together with the next moment so that you are creating your life. You are creating your world. You are manifesting in this moment what you want. And what most of us want is love, peace, and well-being. So in this moment, I feel love, right? In this moment, I feel I'm peaceful. And that actually gives us resilience, adaptability. It gives us all the tools we need to manage all the challenges that life keeps throwing at us, especially now.
Yeah, which I find interesting because to me it seems almost by design. What is happening at the moment with the lockdown is creating the perfect circumstances for decreasing people's ability to withhold and fight viruses. I find it a bit strange. The advice that's been given from the top is actually, I think, the most dangerous and causing far much more cases and pain and suffering and ill health because of the stress it is causing people.
Well, it's interesting because I actually think this is a big pause. And that's one of the interrupters that's so important to interrupt stress and anxiety. And I feel to a large degree, our lives were running away with us. We were having trouble keeping up with what was going on. Families were not spending any time together. There were all these external influences that were pulling us here and there. It was all about job, making money, success. It wasn't about thinking about, me. What can I do to make myself better? What can I do to help make my family better? What can I do to help make my community better? We were also externally focused and running on this treadmill that I think on a large level was way more stressful because people didn't have time to really stop, pause, and figure out, who am I? Where am I in all of this? And I actually just wrote an article about this because a lot of people are losing their jobs, and the jobs they're losing may never come back.
Yeah.
So panic, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Well, what you could do, especially if you're in lockdown, is you could be taking classes and certifications online right now, finding your dream, doing something that you're really passionate about. And I actually wrote a piece that included what is potentially becoming the jobs of tomorrow. And we're going to see more and more movement into technology and into healthcare, obviously, wellness areas, the supply chain technologies, as well as the people that implement them. These are some of the areas that are going to become more prevalent. So instead of wallowing in, oh, woe is me, I've lost my job, this pandemic has ruined my life, maybe it's given you an opportunity to have the life you truly want. Take the time now to think about what do I want? What really makes me happy? What am I good at? That everybody said, oh, you can't do that for a living. Yes, you can. If you believe you can, you can. And then you just find the resources to help make it happen. So I believe this is actually a really empowering time if you use it that way. If you look at it as all the negatives, which there are certainly a lot of, I don't deny that. I guess I've always tried to find the silver lining in things, because I feel as a personal development coach, that's really what helps us grow. If you just stay in the status quo and you're just in your comfort zone, you never grow. So this is pushing the world to grow. And do we want to do it all together? Or do we want to do it within our own communities? How do we want it to look next? We have choices right now. So I feel like this is a really amazing time that never would have happened. And however it happened, I'm not looking to shame or blame. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We're here now. What do we want to do with this now? Be in the moment.
Amen. Yeah, no, that is a wonderful way of looking at it. It's viewing it as a gift in a way. It's and that will slightly send me off actually into more conspiratorial territory, where the actual reason why this is being locked down is because there is a very positive benefit to it. So whatever people think about the virus, I think there is a chance it's actually, if you are lucky enough to catch it, it will actually have a positive effect on you. I think that sounds a bit crazy.
I'm not sure I understand. How will it have a positive effect on you?
Well, I suppose just in the way that you are now thinking. So in that you're able to actually, instead of sort of running around and panicking, you're able to actually focus on your dishes and wash them, if that makes sense.
Right, but that's my whole point. Right now, no virus, being healthy, focus on your dishes and wash them. Right now is your opportunity to develop you, to find out what you're really made of. What's in you? If it's fear, you're shutting down. Fear absolutely compromises your ability to think clearly, creates insomnia, worries, you're spinning out of control, and that's not going to help you in any way. So let's take fear off the table. And there's many ways to do that. And so it's really important to be able to look at this time, and not that you don't feel moments of discomfort and fear and anxiety and all those kinds of emotions. I mean, we're human and we're vulnerable, but it's learning how to almost be in harmony with those feelings and to just recognize, okay, I understand I'm feeling this, but now here's what I want to do with my time. I mean, if people, I have a lot of friends who during the lockdown were just jonesing on Netflix and, couch potatoes and not doing anything. Now, other friends were doing exercise and getting fit and eating healthy. And so, again, people had choices of how they wanted to use the time. Do you want to just be negative and wallow and escape? Or do you want to be constructive, productive, creative, and develop you and find a better version of you? We have choices every step along the way.
Yeah, true. And I'm going to ask you to repeat that little phrase you said, because I know it was all rhyming sayings. What was it? Seductive? Productive? Well, sorry.
Oh, I know. Rattles off. You'll have to rewind the tape. I mean, productive, creative. Look, I'm pretty passionate, obviously, about what I preach, and I try to walk the walk myself, and I do. And I have to tell you, it was very upsetting to me. I felt turned upside down by all of this, and it took me a little bit of time to sort of adjust and get myself back on my feet in order to be able to help others, as well as, feel better myself and feel like I had some understanding of what I could and couldn't do. And I came into the understanding that I really can do anything. And now, it's amazing. In fact, in about a half hour, I teach an online class, which I used to teach in a studio. It's a program called Yoga Nidra, which is a yogic sleep. It's amazing. I mean, it's just an amazing, and that's what actually got me a lot into this work, because it connects you to your source, to yourself on a whole other level. And it's so easy. All you do is lie down and follow the guidance, right? But just the idea that our studios were all closed, but I have more students now because I do it on Zoom. So now I reach people in their homes, and it's transformational because it saves me time. I don't have to go and commute to the studio, and I'm still seeing everyone. We're interacting, and so I feel like I've gained from the experience. So it's using technology. It's looking at, again, the opportunities that we have, instead of just looking at, oh, look at what they've done to us and laying blame and shame. To me, that's really not a very good use of energy or thought processes. I much prefer to be more proactive and be able to look at things in ways that I can do something, I can make a difference. And every one of us can.
Yeah. No, that's true. One of the truths. I think more people are waking up to just how powerful they are individually, if they work collectively, if we group with others and help each other. Yeah, we can really achieve anything, I think.
Actually, I'm working with an amazing guy out of Paris, Jean-Guy de Gabriac, and he 4 years ago started this program called World Wellness Weekend, and it's in September, the third weekend in September. And I'm actually an ambassador from the Paradise Coast, in the area where I live, and I'm now connected to these ambassadors all over the world. Now, many of them are tied in with resorts and hotels, which are closed, spas and so forth. And it's been such an interesting experience being in the wellness spectrum and sharing all of the understandings from Egypt and Italy and Paris, and we're scattered all over the world, and we all have very similar challenges, and yet we all have differences in our individual communities. And being able to come together and share that information helps us all, I think, grow. So again, I think we have amazing opportunities individually, collectively, locally, globally. It's remarkable. And I will tell you one other thing, because you can jump on board with this if you have any interest. I'm past president of my Rotary Club here in Naples. And so Rotary International started a volunteer portal that you can go online and access and get certified by Yale University as a certified nurse's assistant, where you can help with the healthcare crisis right now through telehealth and so forth. So I actually have signed up for that. I'm now
wow.
CNA, because I know that online like this, we can offer support. And since I have the coaching side as well, it just expands the impact that I might be able to make if the need is there. I mean, by the time I go through the 30 hours, maybe the need won't be as great, let's hope. But I continually want to be able to serve. So there's a website, and I'll email it to you so you can post it, because I don't remember it off the top of my head, but anybody can access it, and you can just say you're a friend of Rotary in order to take advantage of it.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, we'll have to have a look at it. And I think it's all very good practice and good training for the proper virus when that comes, the proper Walking Dead zombie virus that's in the pipeline.
Right, there you go. Well, there will be more. We just are vulnerable.
Very true, very true. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think the skills that we develop now, the relationships we build now are essential. And it's fantastic. So yeah, please tell us how can people make contact with you and view the work that you're doing and get involved?
So my website is just my name, PeggySealfon.com, and I actually have a lot of free materials there, audio meditations, as well as videos that help in a minute just interrupt anxiety or stress. So there's a lot of free programs that I put on my website. I have a Facebook page, Peggy Sealfon, Personal Development Coach. And then I also have some postings on YouTube where I have a gratitude meditation, which is 14 minutes. And if you did that every day, it helps bring you into the now. It changes your biochemistry. It actually just amps up all of the good hormones in your body by taking that 15 minutes out a day to do. So lots of different support that I offer just through all my different channels. And I'm really happy to be of help. And I've been doing, I'm a motivational speaker, but clearly I can't stand in front of stages of corporate executives anymore. But I've been doing a lot more on Zoom and programs that I can reach people in different ways. So people can look for that as well. And I usually post it on my website.
Okay, yeah. No, that's fantastic. And yes, your Facebook page, I found that thankfully, because as I told you before we connected, my email went down. So my only way of communicating to send you the Zoom link actually was via your Facebook page, which is beautiful.
Thank you. Actually, I think you found my book, Escape from Anxiety, Supercharge Your Life with Powerful Strategies from A to Z. I have a Facebook page, just the Escape from Anxiety ABCs. And I think that was where you actually sent the Zoom link, because when I went back to look at it again, it had popped up on my phone, and I went back to find it, and I thought, where was it? Was it in Messenger? Did he text that to me? So I was kind of, and I think it was on the Escape from Anxiety Facebook page.
Ah, right.
Which is fine. I mean, I do check all of them, and then I have an Instagram page, so that's a good place where people can.
Yeah, wow.
And again, I'm constantly putting information, inspiration, motivation, advice, tools, and making those available. And on my website, if people sign up for my newsletter, they'll get every month, just lots of different tools and advice and support. And then if someone really wants some one-on-one coaching, they can go to integratedlifeplan.com and they can contact me through that portal and get in touch with me, and I can work one-on-one with them just like this. We can do it on Zoom or Skype. So I work with people all over the world.
Wow, Peggy. You sound, incredibly busy and productive.
Now more than ever. It's so funny because I have adhered to the stay at home, and I've been busier than I was when I wasn't staying at home. So
right.
I think it's the times, because anxiety and stress is just so prevalent, and I work with people of all ages and all walks of life, and so a lot of people refer their friends to me who they know are having a hard time. So it's been really busy, but again, the more I help others, the more it helps all of us, because then they're more productive, they're happier, they can do more in their families and their communities. And to me, that we are our greatest resource. And so it's helping us all be better is important. That's why I really stay away from the conspiracy theories, because it's such a tear down, It really wants to just rip you apart and make you hate everyone and don't listen to this and don't listen to that. So I try to tune a lot of that out and just stay on my path. And I encourage others to find their path and really explore and be inspired and really be able to live your life fully instead of in fear and running away from things.
Yeah, that is fantastic, Peggy. And I will just repeat, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. I don't know why I said that.
But that's true. Fear depletes you, and you should fear fear. And get over it. Move on.
Yeah, it's true. And we'll put the links that you've said here and that we've discussed here, so you can find more information. Because I think there's a lot of information you have, and yeah, a lot of tips and tools that will really help people, not just in this time, but just generally anyway. So
yeah, I mean, we live our lives in stress, we do. And even if we look back at the life we were living 3 months ago, there was a lot of stress. And so that's something that's a constant, and we're actually kind of wired for that. And again, it's really important that we learn how to balance it so that we're not in that harmful state of stress, because then we're more potentially likely to get the coronavirus. Because our immune system is very strong.
it's very true. And that's the plan. Cackle, cackle, sorry. No, surviving and thriving, and those words. But thank you so much, Peggy, for your time. That was lovely. And enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, good luck in recharging your life and everyone else's life as well.
Thank you, Rich. I really enjoyed being here with you. This was really fun. Thanks for having me, and stay safe.
Thank you, and yourself, Peggy. Bye.
Bye.
And now it's time for some hilarious comedy on Everyman Radio.
This fantastic Technogadgetbore show is proudly sponsored by webscontent.com. Fast, secure and reliable.
Fast, secure, and reliable web hosting from Web's Content.
There you go. I don't know whether you will ever go funless, fully funless, but yeah. Listen, I'm happy,
Technogadgetbore says you'll never be fanless. No, that's true. It's just, where are the fans? Are they in this room? Are they somewhere else?
Yes, and hello, and welcome to the Technogadgetbore show. And yes, I did pose a question to Music Radio Creative, or Radio Music Creative, Creative Music Radio, one of the three. And yes, I think I was misunderstood. When I was talking about fans there, I wasn't talking about the fan of the fan world. I was talking about fans of the people world. Yes, it's a slight branch away out of the technology to the peoples. And my question was something about fans of the people. No, fans of the Music Radio Creative. I don't know. Where are the fans? I don't know. I know we have lots of fans. They are out there. And they're lovely people doing lovely things and very busy upgrading the operating systems. So, yeah, I can help you upgrade yours. Please, if you have any questions, please send them to the Technogadgetbore show, and we will help you.
The Technogadgetbore Show, the tech podcast to help you upgrade your ZX Spectrum and Commodore 64.
Hi, I hope you enjoyed that. I really did enjoy talking with Peggy. She has a lot of really good information, good advice. and I'm very pleased I received this in the post. Ta-da! So, I know you're screaming, where can I get one? The truth is you can't. These are, well, this is it. But this baby, well, I'm drinking men's tea, but this mug, so I've had a few of these made, and I've got them in a box over there, and I am just working with a supplier, a SMS provider type thingy bob, so that it just needs to be set up and finalized. But next week I'm going to be running a competition for a draw where you just have to enter a short number from your mobile phone, and oh yeah, with the code EMR, then we'll receive that and you'll be put into a draw, and one lucky punter will win this beautiful mug. So you, well, not this one, a new one. And so tomorrow I'm going to be interviewing Larry and Paul, comics, who produce some fantastic content, and talking with them about yeah, the fantastic content they produce. That'll be good. And so next week, when we've fixed the SMS, I'll be giving you an SMS number. You just need to type the code EMR, send it, and we'll put it in a drawer, put one out, and then you can win a beautiful, ow, it's hot, a beautiful mug. So details will come. Have a good week.
New music.
Thank you for listening to Everyman Radio. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends on social media.
Goodbye.